Oh shit, yo, Frog, what's up, dude? Frog Lane.
Hey guys, what's up? Inorganic Pixel here. I'm doing a game with Colonel Frogs actually. We've done a few YouTube videos in the past. He's a great TF2 medic YouTuber. I would also recommend to check him out after this video. But yeah, I'm doing a quick Deadlock commentary. I haven't done one of these in a hot minute, so I hope I can still do it right and everything. I'm playing as Ivy in this game. If I recall correctly, the beginning of this game doesn't start off too hot, but it gets progressively better, so I definitely stick around if you like the gameplay and everything. To be honest with you, I want to talk about a few things. Some of them being about rumors about new stuff coming to Deadlock. I want to talk about, kind of the update and overall the overall sentiment and processes and feelings I've had with this update and everything, and kind of more finalized understanding of where Deadlock is at as a game at the moment. I also kind of want to get into more detail about maybe some stuff with this YouTube channel and kind of the future of the content I'll be making and everything, and also Deadlock content specifically if you're interested in that kind of thing. I know some of you guys like these type of videos. I know there's a bit of a following for stuff like this, and we'll go into more detail about what's going to be happening with videos like this in the future. I do plan to make more of these, but I'll get into it later. I guess what I want to talk about first is the overall newest update and everything, and it's been great. The newer characters have been all amazing. Seeing how they clash and intertwine with the existing characters, as well as some of the changes that have been made to the map itself, and also the overall gameplay aesthetic and vibe has been amazing. I talked about that in my last video, but that was when the update was still kind of rolling out and my feelings were fairly fresh. Now that everything's been kind of marinated a bit, I feel very confident in saying that Deadlock is here, and it's basically, it seems to have kind of captured a large audience, and it seems to be retaining that audience fairly well. I'm surprised to see that. I'm also excited to see that. I think that Valve is onto something with Deadlock, and I also think that the future could be very much Deadlock heavy with gaming moving forward. I don't really know what that future will totally look like in its final form and its ultimately realized state, but it's exciting to go through right now. I'm still having tons of fun playing Deadlock. I'm having tons of fun trying new characters, new builds, different strategies, playing with my buddies and everything. And I also hope that a lot of newer players are feeling that same way too. One thing to comment about a lot of the newer players that have been coming through is that I think I mentioned this in my last video, but try to keep in mind that there are a lot of newer people figuring out this game, and this is one of those games that does take some time to truly understand and figure out, and then begin to get better at. So if you are new to my channel, or even new to Deadlock as a whole, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hopping into these games and whatnot. I would just advise, though, to stay level-headed and just recall that it's a video game, and on top of that, it's also in its closed alpha test or whatever. And I think that ultimately, that Deadlock's headed on a trajectory that will keep it at a state where people have recognized that the actual gameplay, the core mechanics of the game itself, are really the big value of the game. Obviously, the things like the writing, the characters, and the overall world building that comes with Deadlock, everything is incredible as well. But I really think what is going to be the ultimate driving force for a lot of fan-made content, for a lot of the content that you see on YouTube, is obviously the world and its characters and the overall engaging gameplay that accompanies that. It's a beautiful miracle that Deadlock exists in this modern day and age, especially it's a Valve game, and it's really cool to see and hear that Valve has really been heavily focusing on making Deadlock better. Supposedly there are rumors, though, that there might be stepping away from Deadlock for just a brief period of time to potentially focus on the new Half-Life game. Those are just rumors, though. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't really like to make these videos all about rumors and speculation. I know that can be fun, but at the same time, I don't want to comment about things that are probably never going to happen or may or may not happen and everything. I don't think that's of interest. As far as other things to talk about with Deadlock specifically, one thing I've been really enjoying with the newer people coming in and more players and the higher player count is that we're getting a lot of people who are artists and do animations or art in general. So there's been a lot of great community content for a game that's not even fully realized and out yet. I'm just going to show a few examples of great artwork that I've seen. I'm also going to show examples that are not very sexually themed as well, or adult themed. Don't get me wrong, I really appreciate that for a video game I love, that there are some of those drawings and works of art being created. But I mean, I don't know if I want to share that on my YouTube channel. And I think overall with these newer characters, And ultimately the big conclusive piece that comes with this update is that Deadlock truly feels that it's in its own state, it's in its element. It has cracked the code on terms of its aesthetics and vibe and overall gameplay mentality that it wants to promote. So I'm really excited to see what will come next. A lot of the theories about what may or may not come next include things like new game modes, talking about seasonal updates and how the updating process will work for games like this. Obviously, balance tweakings have been a big piece of Deadlock as well. But everything's in kind of like a motion, or comes in waves. Everything is a bit of like a motion in terms of understanding how players interact with some of those capabilities and those items and those new updates. And also, finding out that, like, hey, there are certain items and certain tools within this game that are actually more powerful as time goes on, as more people play, and we're learning also how people play this game as a whole. Obviously, it's been interesting to see how this game has come out in kind of like this closed alpha testing period, and also interesting to learn and maybe potentially figure out how Valve has approached this and how they plan to approach potentially future games. One aspect of this closed alpha that that people don't really talk about a whole lot is that there have been some minor features that have been removed. Things like the hero testing labs. I'm not sure if anyone has ever played back in the day, but back in the day there used to be a testing center for some of the newer heroes. I kind of regret that I didn't get a lot of footage or play a lot of those matches and everything, but that was essentially where Valve was testing out a lot of the new heroes, some of those newer capabilities. Heroes like Calico and Sinclair, and I believe Holiday. Don't correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but I believe Holiday were actually part of that hero testing lab that generated some of these those not newest characters, but newer characters to the roster. And having that taken away or not available anymore is just interesting to see. And what's also surprising too is all these newer characters that have been added to the game were not part of that hero testing lab, to my knowledge. They potentially might have been part of like a secret server for more of an internal Valve testing and everything. And that's been kind of interesting to see. I think that's kind of an interesting aspect of the testing aspect that Valve has been doing with Deadlock. And I think that Valve has also been somewhat figuring out the testing components, or how to balance and test and optimize this game as best as possible in terms of the gameplay mechanics specifically. I think a lot of the closed alpha, if I had to just put my tinfoil hat on here real quick, I think a lot of the closed alpha testing stuff with Deadlock, the stuff, the footage you're seeing here, like the games that the common man is getting into and everything, I think more often than not what Valve is testing there is probably the matchmaking system, as well as the player sentiment with certain games that are played, as well as potentially even the optimization for different computer builds that players might have, or internet connections, or a lot of these other factors that Valve can't test in a very closed environment. I think Valve's idea of testing now, from where it seems, where I'm sitting right now, is that the gameplay changes that might come from us playing the game are minimal, maybe potentially more focused on fixing bugs, glitches, optimization issues. And I imagine a lot of the core gameplay mechanics, things like those new characters, things like changes to the map potentially. This was a great Ivy bomb, I thought, but I missed it just on the 7. Ivy's one of those characters that I'm still somewhat figuring out. She's very powerful, and this build specifically, by the way, is designed to get around the map as fast as possible and just be part of every fight. Going back to what I was saying a minute ago, sorry to get sidetracked and everything. I think a lot of the core testing that comes from the players, though, again, revolves more around fixing minor issues or small bugs and whatnot. But the actual true gameplay, the actual components that make the game function and also ebb and flow, I imagine are definitely more tested internally. So that's interesting to see. That's going to be interesting moving forward if that remains the case. Specifically because a lot of the rumors that are speculating and rolling around with this game right now are around potentially new game modes, also testing the actual player interactions with one another. There have been a lot of interesting developments in terms of the API connections, supposedly that Valve is collecting or has with these games, as well as things like the recording of player interactions with one another. So like your first message, your comms potentially are being reviewed and looked over by Valve. I don't know if that's necessarily a security aspect, but I think it also might be, again, that that's part of the testing component of this game for sure. I'm also surprised to hear, or I don't really know how accurate potentially that reporting is either. I'm just getting a lot of the stuff is from the rumor mill on X.com and like Reddit and stuff. But I imagine that Valve has primarily looked at a lot of the player interactions and also like the player specs and components when playing this game. But I'm curious to see what Valve might be doing a lot when it comes to the communication that players have with one another. I try to be very nice and cordial within my games. I definitely remember a period of time, for whatever reason, when this game was like uber toxic or uber like aggro and aggressive. I find that that's definitely tapered off quite a bit, mainly because I imagine people are more comfortable with understanding that this game is not as easy to just dive into and just jump headfirst into. And also, we're still all learning this game. I think people have come to realize that a bit. What a great pause, by the way. So yeah, oh my god, another pause.
Let's try to kill this Mina.
So just going back to the overall core game itself, everything. What I'm excited about potentially with future updates, one of those being the new game mode. That sounds awesome. I supposedly from what I've heard, that's going to sound like a bit of like a payload game mode. So maybe akin to Overwatch. I don't know how akin to Team Fortress 2 it might be. I'm also curious to see how potentially the items or the build system might work within that game mode specifically as well. But I've always argued that there should be additional game modes for more of a more casual experience. I still love the core game of Deadlock. The MOBA aspect of it is really cool, and also allows for very deep and methodical planning and coordination with your teammates, which is a lot of fun. But I'm hoping to get more of a kind of just a beat 'em up, brawl out, go nuts and have fun kind of game mode, and potentially that payload style might fit really well. Valve is obviously very familiar with that kind of style of gaming when it comes to things like TF2 and Dave Defeat and whatever. I guess when it comes to talking about any future specific updates, the rumor mill states that that might come within the next update, that payload update. Then that might happen around October. Who truly knows, though? Again, it's just a rumor mill. I think October would be cool. This is a very big Halloween-heavy game. It has that really Halloween aspect and vibe going to it. So I really hope that Valve sees that, recognizes it, and then obviously we can. I would love to have another game that is very Halloween-focused and centric, because we obviously have TF2, and I would love to have another game on rotation during the holidays, specifically Halloween. I'm always a big fan of those holiday updates that Valve has created and other games have and everything. But one thing I will add when it comes to any new updates or any new features that come with the game itself specifically, as far as things that I would like to maybe request outside of that new game mode piece, there are some additional aspects of this newest update that have kind of reared its head to me now and are a bit more apparent. And also some stuff that has come as far as features and capabilities, like that new Hideout. I really hope we can see more of that, and also maybe some more features and aspects of that Hideout specifically. That was the biggest, most interesting part of this newest update, in my opinion. The new characters were great, but having that Hideout or that little lobby room was really interesting to see, and I'm really excited to see what Valve has planned for that in the near future. I would like to have, I would honestly think it'd be sick if that Hideout became a zone, or if people literally just hopped into Deadlock just to hang out in that Hideout or do something within that Hideout. I don't know what that could be. Maybe customizing it in some way. Maybe some kind of a single player component to it. I don't really know. I'm just hypothesizing. I would like to see more of that Hideout within this next update. That would be sick. More features or components to that Hideout, more rooms potentially, more exploration aspects. I imagine, by the way, there's some real secret shit within that Hideout right now that we have just not uncovered just yet. But when we do, we will be abusing the ever-loving shit out of that in the near future. As far as other features and other things that I'd like potentially improved within Deadlock, one quick feature request I'm going to make right now that I cannot imagine anyone would be opposed to is a mass deselect option when it comes to picking your characters within the game. I like to play this game where I pick a plethora of characters. I don't know if anyone else is the same way, but I love playing this game and having a kind of just a wild card random, who knows who I'm going to be playing at this given moment. Every once in a while, though, when I'm trying a new character out or when I'm trying a new build, I'll try to play that specific character. But I would like an option, though, to mass deselect all the characters that I'm picking. It is kind of annoying to have to right click, left click, right click, left click on certain characters that are in my roster. It would be nice if basically there was an option where, hey, you know, I have like 15 people, high priority selected, low priority selected, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to basically just, you know, go ahead and just deselect all of them right off the bat. That's one feature I'd like to ask for. Another feature that or at least optimization wise, that I'd like to ask for within this game right now is, I would love if the replay feature was a bit more optimized. I love the replay feature. I love that the replay feature works so, you know, ubiquitously with the game, and you're able to kind of get all these different angles and all of these like different components of a match that just happened fairly recently, which is super cool. My only problem is though is that it chugs like shit. Like if you want to see a specific point in that match, get ready for the loading just to be agonizingly painful. Get ready for your game to crash. I really hope that Valve is considering that optimization a bit further as well. I would like if I understand that it's compiling all this data of a match that just occurred and replaying all of that, but I would like if, number one, it was optimized to the point where I was able to skip around the entire match seamlessly and load it in a way where it's easy to read and easy to navigate through. Similar to how like the Team Fortress 2 one works, maybe a little bit more optimized than that one as well. The other thing too, I would like some additional features in that replay option also. I'd like maybe some more reporting on the actual metrics of the game at the given moment. I would like potentially some maybe even filters for camera or camera positions as well, or even like adding just different components to any kind of recording that you might have with the match itself. I like to record them for my videos every once in a while, and I also like to, you know, just interstitial, like specific moments, get different angles of a specific moment that might happen within the match. But who knows? Other people might be using them for, you know, maybe more of a machinima reason or kind of a comedic purpose. There have definitely been YouTube videos that have used that specific feature to make entire, you know, videos and scripted narrated sequences and whatnot. The problem is though, it's just that it just chugs so horribly. I think the replay feature is just not as optimized, at least on my computer it's not, but I imagine it's probably worse on lower tier, lower spec computers than mine. I don't run anything like too crazy, but I you know, that's just one ask that I have when it comes to Deadlock specifically, aside from a new game mode and aside from the Hideout and everything. And then going from there as well, I would also maybe like if there was some customization options soon. I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing that within the closed alpha period. I'd like to see it. At one point, we had customizations when it came to the holiday skins that, you know, were around during the 2025 Christmas-ish update. Those weren't necessarily like, you know, hats and cosmetics like Team Fortress 2 would have or Counter-Strike, but they were cosmetics nonetheless, and it was still nice to basically grind and earn something. Those, I imagine, all have to go away, or most of them probably have to go away, because those were designed for older models of most of these characters, and a lot of these characters now, those costumes probably just would not fit anymore, or probably don't look correct anymore with some of these models. By the way, and again, some of these models are also still not finalized. There's still a lot of clipping that occurs with things like Ivy's like wings and whatnot. Mina's umbrella is another common one I can think of off the top of my head. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're still in this closed alpha period, and even then, like, the cosmetic issues that I just brought up aren't, like, too game-breaking or too critical. I guess, just to segue away from Deadlock, just talking corely about Deadlock right now, I want to talk a little bit more about the YouTube channel a little bit, the Deadlock content that you're watching right now, and Deadlock content that you can expect in the future and everything. So where do I begin? I want to just start off with talking about burnout with Deadlock. I have been playing this game a lot. I've been playing this game for a very long time now. My entire year has been mostly playing Deadlock. At any waking minute I have, I am trying my hardest to play other video games and, you know, do other things outside of just playing Deadlock. And the question might, you know, be coming to your mind right now is it just because I'm burnt out on Deadlock? Am I just tired of the actual gameplay loop and mechanics of it? No. I am very much not burnt out from Deadlock. I would take a miracle of God at this point now to get this game away from me. I still love playing it. I have I feel embarrassed admitting this, but I have more than 1,000 hours on this game, and I could easily see myself putting another 1,000 hours in it, no problem. But I could always pump out every week a video like this where I'm half-assing it and everything, or where I kind of ramble on and don't have a lot to talk about. I know there is a small dedicated audience that likes these videos, but I would like to move in a direction where I'm making Deadlock content that's a bit more scripted, a bit more built, a bit more elaborate. Even if it doesn't get the views, even if it doesn't get like, you know, the insane comments or, you know, the buzz that, you know, like a video like this might generate sometimes, I still want to have the experience that comes with making a video of that caliber. And I also want to, I like the fact that my YouTube channel exists as a library to either, you know, older versions of this game, as well as potentially, you know, kind of educating people who are very new to it, to kind of have at least somewhat of a starting point to jump off of. And on top of that too, I also want to showcase, you know, some other stuff that I think is interesting. Like I replayed through Max Payne 3 recently on a stream, and that was a lot of fun. I do plan on making a video about that. And I just want to, you know, with my YouTube channel, it's not just solely Deadlock. I want my stuff to be about video games as a whole, and Deadlock's a big part of that because I think right now it's the most interesting video game out there. But I also still want to shine a light on video games that I think are just interesting, or stuff that I think is fun to play through, or, you know, just mix it up a little bit. Let me know how you feel about this. Ultimately, is what I'm kind of getting at here. One of the biggest challenges that I have with this YouTube channel, or just YouTube in general, is that I don't really truly know what the audience wants. I also often don't really know what I want in a video either, and I'd like to get better at understanding that, or at least making stuff that you guys enjoy or newer people would enjoy as well. And part of that is just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. But the other part of that too is also still learning how to use things like Adobe Premiere or Photoshop and everything, and just making sure I'm having fun doing it. I have fun making these videos, and I have fun playing Deadlock, and I have fun playing Thieves 2 and a bunch of other games and whatnot. But I ultimately, at the end of the day, I really don't see it changing to the point where I will only be playing one of those games, or streaming only one of those games and whatnot. So with that all being said, I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on everything I just kind of went through there when it comes to talking about the content that I make on this channel, everything around Deadlock specifically, or even Team Fortress 2 or whatever. God, you know, who cares? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Obviously, more or less, not even just about my channel, but even about Deadlock as a whole, or anything else that I talk about or play. I want you guys to also understand, whoever's watching this, is that my YouTube channel is really not designed to be a one-stop shop for one specific piece of, you know, media or video game or whatnot. It's really kind of just a place where I can kind of elaborate and get creative about things I'm passionate about and interested in. And just to kind of, I've mentioned this before, I've hinted this before in other previous videos, but one of my bigger inspirations is Stir. And, you know, he is truly like one of my more North Star components to why I make YouTube videos. He's kind of like the direction that, you know, really inspired me to really push forward into that. And he's back to making Deadlock content, you know, every once in a while, and then other video games and other stuff. So I'm happy to see all that. But yeah, I guess what I'm getting at though is that, you know, I'm in the very early stages of what that field looks like, and on top of that too, the field has changed dramatically. Like if I was making stuff like this back in 2010, 2013, or whenever I was watching old Stir videos, I'd imagine there'd probably be a lot more clear and direct understanding of what is, you know, appealing to the audience at that time, but it's not that anymore. I'm in a whole different era of making internet content, YouTube, streaming, video games, blah, 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 blah. I'm having fun doing it though. I'm trying to figure it all out. I think a big challenge of figuring it all out also boils down to allocating your time to not just the, you know, the project that I'm working on here at any given moment, but also enjoying my own personal time and my own personal job and my own personal stuff that I'm going through and everything. So I guess what I'm saying at the end of it, to make a long story short, is I apologize that there's not been a YouTube video like this in a hot minute. I don't think that there's going to be that many people who are that viciously upset at that, but for the one or two guys out there that were really hoping to see a new Deadlock video from me like this, and haven't gotten one in quite some time now, I apologize, and I will try to make it more of a bi-monthly thing. If you want to see me play Deadlock more, I do occasionally stream this game every once in a while, and it's very similar to a video like this, where I'm just kind of rambling on or talking about the game itself. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the content piece. I'm still trying to figure out what sticks and what lands and what I'm good at, and I appreciate you sticking around and figuring that out with me. So that's enough of that. I'm gonna get talking about the game here real quick. The game has really turned in our favor. I know what I mentioned earlier in this video that I thought the beginning laning phase was really rough. We actually stomped really hard in that laning phase. So this game, I could have sworn, maybe I just kind of forgot, because the night I recorded this, Colonel Frogs and I played like 3 other games back to back of Deadlock, and just again to speak about how addicting this game is. Like it's if I was unemployed, if I really had nothing else, if I was like getting universal checks, like universal basic income checks, I would be playing this game non-stop because it's so fun to play through. It's so addicting, and I know Colonel feels the same way. Every once in a while, like, it'll be like midnight my time. He's like, yo, you want to run a few rounds? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's go. Like, I'm about to go to bed, but screw it. I want to try this new carpet Ivy build here. By the way, magic carpet on Ivy here, I don't really know if I see that working too tremendously, but one nice aspect of Magic Carpet with Ivy, it lets me get around the map so quickly and helps me run objectives. I feel like one of the big things I like about this Ivy build that I kind of was working on at one point was that it's just so mobile. And I think that's the kind of one of the other aspects of this game that I think is going to, in the long term, keep it so interesting and so much fun to play in the long run, because there are so many crazy options and different capabilities you could run on specific characters. Like, people are uncovering how powerful Veil Walker is on characters like Bebop, of all things, or like Mo Krill, or like I've even seen like Veil Walker used on people like Paige and whatnot. And it's nuts to see how kind of tooling around with these specific builds and then building and playing around those builds can be so much of a all-encompassing and kind of engaging experience as a whole. And and I know that's true for really any MOBA for the most part. Like, you could argue that like League of Legends is the same way, and Dota might be the same way. But the third-person shooting component of this game, though, it just adds such a whole new level and dimension that is unlike anything else I've played, and even in any genre, really, in the third-person shooter genre, in the MOBA genre, and again, people always love to comment and make a joke about how Deadlock is like this multi-genre video game, and it's so true, because like there are so many different components that make Deadlock work that really lend itself into genres like third-person shooters, horror video games, fighting games, MOBAs, and it's just so intriguing to see. Like, by the way, going back to my Magic Carpet build here, me Magic Carpeting up there and then punching him at the very end there was just, man, Colonel Frog, I got a huge laugh out of that. That was so funny. And that parry you just saw by the Infernus, again, going back to the whole fighting game component of this, it is truly interesting to see how Deadlock is this constantly evolving beast within the video game space, and it's very refreshing to see other gamers, whether they're like Twitch streamers or people who are new to the game or people who've been here for a while or people who are familiar with MOBAs and whatnot, discovering that for the first time and then diving into it, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I made that last video about Deadlock, where it's about how to get a little bit better at Deadlock or how to get good at Deadlock. I think the most important part, or the part that makes this game truly so engrossing, is the fact that is learning it. Honestly, learning this game, it just has this like crazy, like almost hypnotic and like drug-like quality to it, where it's not. I'm playing it frankly to get better, yes, but also to learn more about the actual game itself, like learn more about the characters, learn more about the actual world that this game is building, learn more about what works and what could work and what doesn't, and challenging myself with those like crazy ideas and builds that I develop and everything. And I feel like that's changed also so much throughout my time playing Deadlock. I remember when I first booted up the game, I was like, I'm probably never going to sit down here for hours on end and craft like some silly goober build. But then here I am doing it. Like, I've done it for more than just Ivy. I've done it for people like Kelvin and Abrams and I'd love to just make more of those. Those are so engaging and fun to make and also entertaining to play through. It's unlike anything else I've played, and I really don't see that slowing down anytime soon for myself. And but yeah, I really have nothing else to say past all that stuff. I think Shroud said it best. It's already like one of the best games ever made, and over time, it's only going to get better. And I'm just excited to be on that ride and everything and documenting it all. I appreciate you guys also sticking around and tuning in to any of like my TF2 streams or Deadlock videos, streams, and content that I make. I've gotten a kick out of spotting some of you guys in my games and whatnot, as well as, you know, seeing stuff on like my Twitter feed. That poor Mina, by the way. Jesus. One thing I would like to add, just a sidetrack here, big time. I would like if like Ivy, or if they could make a character with Ivy's like 3 ability, where you actually do more damage from the higher you fall from. Just a thought. I don't know if that maybe could be another item that we could see in the near future. Anyways, but that's really the whole game here and everything. That's really all I have to talk about with this video and also with Deadlock as a whole. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I will try to get back to making videos like this more frequently, or at least, you know, again, focusing more on just making sure that these are entertaining and the video quality is up to my standards now, and up to your standards ultimately too. So thanks for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day, and bye.
I gave him a lot of assist early on. I think that gave him a ton of soul.